Let's talk about something real quick. So let me put the mic closer. So I wrote a thread that said, another degree or certification won't save you. Plenty of people are overeducated and underemployed. Now, this is two sentences, and I received a bit of pushback on it of like, and I quote, I wouldn't pass out this advice. My job opportunities would not be the same without my advanced degrees. I'm still getting my master's for me. This is also negative advice. Okay. I did not tell you not to get a degree. I said another degree or certification won't save you. And what I mean by that is so often when we think about pivoting our careers, when we think about what's next, the first thing we jump to is let me get another degree, let me get another certification. And now, in some instances, getting a degree, getting a certification will be the thing that will move you forward. But as someone who has pivoted my career 5 times and I've not gotten another degree, I will say I do have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in social work. And that's I haven't gotten a PhD. I haven't done more, right? Like that's the degrees. And I say that to say, like, in all my conversations with my hiring managers as I'm pivoting, et cetera, people have asked me what I've done. And I've seen other people who were applying for similar jobs if I had. Actually, one job with my master's degree, someone with a bachelor's degree got the job over me. Why? Because they had more impact in what the job was trying to solve. And when I wrote that thread, I'm not saying don't get a degree. What I'm saying is that alone will not save you. Think through what you really want and think through what success will look like, right? And what you're putting in. So if you get another degree and you know like, hey, I want to be a doctor, therefore I need to get a medical degree, yes. However, if you're trying to pivot to another role, maybe, and someone brought up the AI. If you're trying to go into AI, actually education is a lagging um lagging, it's not a lagging indicator, but it's just lagging, right? So by the time you go to school for AI is already advanced, right? Because by the time they wrote the curriculum, they approved the curriculum, they found the professor. Yeah, yeah. By the time they did all of that, the thing that you're going to learn, if you just learn by iterating and experimenting and creating projects, you'd have probably got the AI job that you're looking for, right? So my point here is if you want to get a degree, get a degree. Like I'm not here to tell you to not get a degree. What I am saying though is that a degree in itself is not the magic bullet that maybe back in the day it used to be. At some point in our history, if you had a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, etc., you were pretty much going to be a shoe-in for a job. That is no longer the case. Now, what you need is projects. You need to show that the education that you have or whatever the life experience that you have now created projects. Another example of this, when I pivoted from my job in government to education tech, I was helping people without 4-year degree. So you did not have a 4-year degree, meaning that you did not have a bachelor's degree. And I helped them pivot to working in tech, right? And the main thing, and the tech was not just like, it was working for Meta, working for Google, working for Deloitte, that's consulting, but working for Delta Airlines. My point being like Fortune 100 companies, companies that we know, we love, and pay well. And to get over 1,000 people into these jobs, who did not have 4-year degrees, the main thing was like, what projects have you done? How can you show that you've solved problems, right? If you're going into an HR role, what have you done, right? And these were entry level positions. I do want to point that out. These were entry level positions. So if you're going to entry level position, what have you done in the past to show that, hey, you're able to listen, you're able to take feedback well, you're curious. If you're going into for our software engineers, they did need a little bit more. So they needed to show us projects. What have you built on your own? What have you done on your own? And then when you go into the interview and they ask you to code, can you code this thing? Right? So it's not a matter of like, oh, I have a degree, so therefore I know everything and therefore I now have a job. It's if you have a degree, it's like I have a degree plus I have these projects. If you don't have a degree, then it's like I have these projects and it's experience to show that I can solve your problem. And that's something that I really want us to lean into and not think when someone says another, and I just want to point out that the thread said another, right? So no one was saying don't get your degrees, simply saying that getting something else without fully optimizing, understanding the landscape that you're in will not automatically transfer to a new job or a new salary. However, understanding the problems that you want to solve and you can solve and you like solving, you enjoy solving, will get you further. So if you enjoy solving, let's say you want to go into data, or right now AI is everything, you're curious about how AI is going to impact the workforce in whatever industry you're in, then get curious about it, right? Start using the most basic stuff. Start using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and start learning how to prompt engineer. Because most people use AI as Google search, and AI is not Google search. AI is a large language learning model, right? So it's pattern matching, but it's also a really powerful research tool. So if you use AI as Google, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing your company a disservice because you're wasting their time and their money. However, if you spend the time to go from being Google search to being LLM, oh, this looks strange, to being LLM, then then you'd be in a better position without getting a whole nother degree, right? So anyway, my point here is everyone's like, and someone said, um, where is it? At the end of the day, the day is going to end. Get the degree if it benefits you. Skip college if that benefits you, and do you, but don't belittle someone else's dedication to higher education. Nothing in my post was belittling anyone, right? If we do a quick Google search, we can see that there are a lot of people who have a number of degrees and are currently unemployed. That is that is a fact. There's no belittling, right? So, and if you come and ask me, I will tell you all the ways to get a PhD for free. You can get a doctorate degree for free if you go to like a research university, right? Because they are invested in your research, so therefore they will pay for your PhD program. They'll give you stipends, all that good stuff. So you can get the PhD for free, right? So you're investing time in something that you care about, something that you're curious about, and something that because you're curious about will probably gain you more, right? Because then you're making better connections. You're creating projects from it. You're doing more with it, right? You're not dependent on just having that piece of paper now opening a door for you. What you're doing is that you're saying, hey, I'm really curious about this. I want to learn more about it. I'm going to use someone else's money to then move forward. You understand what I'm saying? And same thing for my first thing. Yeah, I'm just going in circles now. But the point here is there's so many ways to get ahead in life. One of them is getting degrees and learning and applying that learning. Another way is doing projects. Another way is through networking. Ultimately, all of it comes down to, are you super curious about your life and what you care about? Because if you're curious about your life, then you're always interrogating, hey, is what I'm doing making me happy? What don't I like? What don't I want more of? Once you figure that out, then you can move towards a direction of what you do care about, right? If you're curious about a specific thing, right? So if you're curious about AI, then you're going to explore it more. Then you're going to see, how can I go from being Google search to using to prompt engineering? How can I start automating the work that I'm doing? How can I create images? How can you understand? And then you start being more curious, and now you have something tangible to show. So when you go for the job interview or you start your own business, you have tangible things to show, right? Um, and I think I had one more point, but I think I've belabored the point enough, right? It's not about belittling. It's not about telling you to get or not to get another degree. It's simply telling you that the degree in itself, in this day and age where everyone has access to information, will not be the thing that ultimately is going to save you. What will save you is education plus implementation. What will save you is to putting in the work to understand and to apply. So that way, as things change, like there's this NPR um, podcast that just came out that was saying a lot of people got computer engineering degrees because they were told by tech that they needed more computer engineering. And I can validate this because, as I mentioned, actually, I don't know if I mentioned this. So When I worked in the Department of Education, we were pushing more people to take AP, like to do like computer science and to go down that pathway. When I was working in ed tech, we were asking more people to go down engineering pathways. Why? Because big tech was telling us that they didn't have enough people to hire in the engineering space. But now with AI, people who have computer engineering degrees are struggling to find a job, and now they're just trying to figure out how to pivot, right? So again, the degree will not necessarily save you. What will save you is really developing a mindset of curiosity, developing a mindset of how do I think through things? How do I critically think? And how do I quickly act on what I'm thinking through to validate my thought process? What will save you is creating connections, right? What will save you is showing someone that, hey, I can go from idea to iteration, right? That is what is going to save you. Um, and I think I've made my point enough. And yeah, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just telling you the reality of the current economy that we live in, right? The amount of times that we are going to have to pivot throughout our lifetimes is quite extensive and quite broad. So really and truly, um, yeah, really and truly, my thought process here is more credentials does not automatically equal more opportunities, right? And adding another degree, another certification won't automatically open doors if your skills, experience, or network aren't aligned with what employers want or need in that moment, right? And when I say overeducated and underemployed, it describes people who have more formal education than their job requires. Or there's just a lot of people in the economy right now who have that education and there are not enough jobs for it, right? So then you're stuck in roles or in spaces that you're underutilized or don't pay as well, but yet you still have all the debt from it. So if you're going to go down that route, understand that like you need to attach more to it and understand that there's so many ways also to get those things for free, the certifications, the degrees, etc. So that way, not only are you gaining the experience, the knowledge, etc., but you're not doing it in debt. So that way, if when you graduate, when you finish, a job doesn't come to you right away, you know you now don't have an extra burden of debt. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm done saying this because what I said is not inherently belittling, right? It's maybe a blunt truth. Maybe it's a reality check, right? It's more degrees alone won't guarantee career success. Practical experience and impact will get you a little bit further. So you can do all of them, right? That's all.